2016. Oh yeah. That's his name. But I didn't. I killed my daughter. She dressed like that. No,
Thank you. We had to beat each other up to see who was going to open this. Taylor is going to join us, and she's going to give us some really good information about messaging. But Jill is going to introduce her.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Oh, I needed to look.
Okay, so from the first moment I met Taylor Jones at a Solidarity Sunday meeting, I knew right then that she was a mover, a shaker, and someone I wanted to work alongside. Why? Because while some of us were getting tangled up in red tape and what ifs, Taylor raised her hand and said with total conviction, "I'm tired of asking permission." That's when I thought, this is my kind of person. So since that first meeting, I got the chance to know Taylor better. She's a lifelong, proud progressive who isn't afraid to speak out, and when she takes on a job, she gives it her all. Whether she's witnessing ICE abductions at the courthouse or speaking at the Community Police Oversight Committee, she acts with empathy and courage, inspiring others to lead with heart and conviction. After that first Solidarity Sunday meeting, Taylor didn't just nod along, she jumped right in, offering to help sharpen our democratic messaging. She believes the right message, delivered with confidence and rooted in our values, can slice through the noise, fear, and flat-out disinformation the extremist regime keeps flooding the zone with. And tonight, she's here to hand us the tools to fight back. Freedom isn't fear, isn't just a toolkit. It's our secret weapon to flip the script and take back the narrative. So buckle up, folks, get ready to be inspired, and let's all give a big hand. Fire up the beds, welcome to my friend, the unstoppable Taylor Jones.
So I'm going to try my best not to blow your eardrums out with this mic. And if at any point I am doing that, please do speak up. And we'll probably do that 3 or 4 times today. So first, thank you all. I will say that although I'm not fed, by membership, I will say that I do live a mere 4 blocks from here, my husband David and I. So we do live in East Dallas, and don't tell the rest, but I think that is the best place in Dallas to live. So.
2 blocks. You want to stand with 2 blocks.
So has anybody in here ever heard of the sliding door theory? Well, good, I'll educate you. So the sliding door theory is really about chance encounters. And it's those moments where maybe you're feeling, you're with a friend and you're feeling particularly social and they invite you to a party and you're like, oh yeah, I'll go. And then the day comes and you're like, oh man, why did I say yes to that? Now I'm feeling particularly unsocial. But you're like, man, or it's a networking event that somebody invites you to and you're like, I don't know if I should go, I'm not going to know anybody. But you must strike courage and you go anyway. And then, not to be overly dramatic, maybe something at that meeting or someone at that meeting changes the trajectory of your life, right? And so maybe you meet your spouse, maybe you just meet a new friend, maybe you meet somebody who has an opportunity for your dream job, right? And so throughout our life, we've all had dozens of these moments, big and small. But for me recently, one of my sliding door moments was when I went to Solidarity Sunday. And so I was invited by someone we all know and love, Pam Mueller, and she invited me to via email and said, hey, you're like-minded, and I'd like for you to attend Solidarity Sunday. And I thought, well, what is this? Or is it kumbaya? Is it therapy? What are we doing? I don't really know. And it was one of those moments of like, I don't know. Do I really want to do this? So I gave it a couple weeks, and then I thought, well, what else am I doing? I'm just sitting on the couch doom scrolling and feeling sorry for myself. So actually one person there, and I got there and I knew one person there, and it was Pam. And at that moment, the door slid open, and I met Jill. And so that was such a defining moment. I didn't know it at the time, as we typically don't, but that is when the door slid open. And so Solidarity Sunday is, you go, and it's to speak about opportunities of activism. So I'm sitting in that room, and at this point, I'm like, this is pretty cool, because there's a lot of people in here that are action-oriented like me, and they're passionate, and they're committed to the cause. But the problem was, at the time, was that everybody was speaking in a million directions. And some people were like, well, we really need to be worried about LGBTQ plus and trans rights. And other people were like, well, no, we really need to be talking about Social Security. And at the time, this was in April, and it was like, but those tariffs are really going to get us. And so we were speaking in 100 directions, and I thought, you know what? Because I am not in a cult, I can speak about my party, and I will say, damn it, we should have been further along than this. And so I got up from Solidarity Sunday and left, and again, admittedly, I was a little frustrated that we weren't further along in our messaging. So I go to lunch with a good friend of mine, her name's Lauren, and we sat there, and I said, you know what? You know what this feels like to me? This feels like that moment when you're cleaning out your closet. We all know we're cleaning out our closet, I'm sure. And you're pulling everything out. You turn around and you're like, oh my God, there's this huge pile of clothes on the floor. You got road shoe, you got, clothes that should have gone to a cleaners a month ago, you've got clothes you haven't worn in years, and it's just a disaster. And that disaster is necessary because in order to get organized, you got to work through the chaos. And that's where I feel like we are with the Democratic Party right now. We've pulled out all of our issues, everything we care about, every story we hold dear, and we just laid it all over the floor. And we're just staring at it. And instead of picking it up and putting it into piles and organizing it, well, we're just walking around wearing all of our clothes. So, has anyone seen I'm sure you've seen the episode of Friends where Joey comes out and he's wearing all of Chandler's clothes? That's what I feel like we're doing as immigrants. We're just walking around wearing all of our clothes, because all of our clothes are important. And some people's top shirt leads with reproductive rights. I'm guilty of that one. Some people's top shirt leads with, I just really want to be able to afford groceries without a payday loan. Some people's top shirt is LGBTQ plus rights. And those are all important. But when we're all screaming in different directions, our message becomes fragmented and we lose voters. So I had a couple of glasses of wine, and I feel comfortable saying that in this room of folks and where we're having this venue. A couple glasses of wine at lunch, and I fired an email off to Jill, about a page and a half, 2-page email. And I'm like, I want to kind of think I'm crazy. But I fire off this email, and it's like, about the messaging, and we should further along with this. And Jill, not to be outdone, fired me back a 4-page email. And so, and that's true. And if there's one thing you all know about Jill, is that this woman does not lack in detail, and we love her for it. And in fact, to be truth be told, she sent me 2 emails back to back. So I did an email, and she was like, yes, and this, and this, and this, and this. And basically, at the end of it said, if you want to run with it, I'll help you work with it. I thought, okay, well now that's how you know. Here I go. So, with the help of Jill, started putting our issues in piles. And we come up with 2 piles, and it's kitchen table topics. And these are topics that we really should be meeting with, right? These are topics that affect every single one of us in this room today, and every single one of us who sit around the kitchen table. And these are where we're going to really find the common ground. And then we have our cultural and rights-based issues. And those issues are still very important. Reproductive rights, LGBTQ+, climate change, those issues are still very important. But at the end of the day, we really need to be hitting those with quick, punchy, bitey sound bites, right? Because you and I may differ on immigration, but if we were to have a conversation, a true conversation, we may find that we're more alike than we are different. But if we're talking about whether 2 people who love each other should get married and you don't believe in that, well, I'm probably not going to be convincing you. If this is your moral issue, I'm probably not going to be convincing you. So at this point, I'm going to hit it with, we don't need to spend a ton of time on that. I'm going to hit it with a couple quick issues, sound bites, and we're moving on. But where we really are going to find the meat of this conversation is those kitchen table topics, right? And so, in putting this together, I realized something else, which is not that revolutionary, but that Republicans, they don't trust doctors, they don't trust vaccines, they don't trust science, they don't don't trust elections. They don't trust the judiciary. They don't trust books. They don't trust teachers. They don't trust, the list goes on, right? They don't trust anything. And that must be exhausting because that's not freedom, that's fear. And that's how this toolkit was born. Freedom isn't fear. Because we need to be taking back the word freedom. Because truly, freedom is not the fear of differences, the fear of our neighbor. We shouldn't be scared if a Republican takes power, that our rights are going to be taken away. That is not freedom, that's fear. So, with that, this toolkit was born. And it really is a way for us to stop arguing in every direction, start putting our issues into piles, start framing our narratives with clarity, so that we can deliver clear, disciplined, emotionally resonant sound bites to every voter that not only they can feel, but that they can repeat. So with that, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to show you how this toolkit works. It's really just a website. Everybody's going to be able to do this real easy. It's, keep drinking your wine, you'll remember this. But I do want to tie you back momentarily to the beginning of my speech where I said, have you heard of the sliding door theory? And I hope that tonight, just at least one of you walked into this room, and maybe you didn't want to come tonight. Maybe you weren't feeling social. Maybe it's your first time here, and something shifted for you. So one, we're glad that you're here. But two, we do hope something shifted. Because I got to tell you what, the midterms are coming, and the storm is forming. And we're going to need every voice, every person, every hand, every vote today, right? So I hope that something is shifted in you all, and I hope that you're fired up and ready, because our message only wins when we deliver it together. So we'll get into the toolkit. And it's going to be tricky holding and narrating. Well, Jill, you're a great driver, but I think I'll be okay. So, Freedom Isn't Fear is just a website. FreedomIsn'tFear.com. And so, I'm going to just walk you through briefly some of this. In fact, oddly enough, the shortest part of this presentation is likely going to be the toolkit in and of itself. But I do want to start out with the homepage of the website. It's really why we exist. Freedom isn't fear. They sell fear. We fight for freedom. And it is I call it a 7-second comeback kit for real conversations. Up here is a message to Democrats. Now, I am not going to read you guys this message. One, because it's long. They only gave me 45 minutes to talk to you all. Two, it's really personal and it means a lot to Jill and I. But I do hope that you go home and read this. And I do hope that you take this for what it is. That guys, aren't you ready to get back on offense? Because I am.
Yes.
And so we must be fighting forward. So I hope that all of you will read this. And I hope that if it hits home and it resonates with you, I hope that you'll share it. So please do read this. You got some homework. All right, so now we're going to go to how to use this toolkit. Now I want you to think of this how to use as a user manual, if you will. User manual like to your car. So one thing about this toolkit is that it is a living, breathing resource guide, right? So it wasn't done yesterday, it's not done today, it won't be done tomorrow. There's a couple reasons for that. One, because it's actually not done. But two, because again, like in this administration, there's a new topic we got to fight about every single day, right? And so what I really want us to do is focus on kitchen table issues first. Again, these are the issues that I really think we're going to be able to move the needle with. If you find yourself in a conversation with someone on the other side, I hope that you will lead with these kitchen table topics. Because again, that is what's going to resonate. Probably a conversation, the moral issue between reproductive rights and LGBT, we're probably not going to hit home on that. Let's lead with these kitchen table topics. Keep the rights-based issues sharp and short. And then speak from values, not just facts. Again, voters don't live in spreadsheets, but they do remember how you made them feel. Y'all will know the saying, empathy, you're there where everybody remembers how you made them feel. And so that's going to be really important. And so we definitely want to speak from our values, not just facts, not from spreadsheets. Though you will find facts and statistics, if you will, throughout this document. If you do need a little backup, try to speak from values. The other part of this is do not repeat their lies. flip them. And I say that because psychologically, there is some psychological evidence to you repeating someone's lie back to them. You know, they say that voting was rigged. Well, you think voting was rigged? Well, now I'm sort of reaffirming it back in your mind. We want to steer away from repeating their lie back to them, and we just want to move right into a soundbite. And we want to lead with freedom. I personally would lead with freedom. You know, freedom is that we can trust in our elections. You know, freedom is that we had 60 judges, some of them Trump appointed, that said there was no election fraud, right? And so lead with that. And then, one other point here is, I do also like to, for some of you can't read this, there are some rhetorical questions in here that you'll see kind of flip the script questions. Or if you really want to have a conversation with somebody, even though you know what they're saying is a diabolical lie, sometimes you just report back and say, well, you know, that you sound really passionate about that. Tell me why you feel that way. A lot of times they can't. It's just what they're regurgitating from the ether. And then if you leave here with one thing tonight, and I mean one thing other than the toolkit, if you leave here with one thing tonight, I hope it is this. I hope that you will make this yours. And I hope that you will adopt this document to your voice, to your story, your community, to your local stats, to your testimonies. And I also, Southern's going to come out at me and say that everything ain't for everybody, right? And so if you're reading through this and you're like, I don't like that soundbite, don't use it. Just don't use it, man. If something doesn't resonate with you, just don't use it. Move on to the next one. I promise you, there's a lot in this document. Something's going to resonate with you. You don't have to use everything. So definitely make it yours. Take what resonates with you, throw out what does not. All right? Now we're going to move into, this was your user manual, and now let's move into 5 principles. And these 5 principles really talk about our strategy. So we know how to use the toolkit now. Now we want to talk about our strategy and how we frame messaging. So 1, we want to anchor every message in real freedom. Freedom isn't fear, right? That's the whole point of the toolkit. Freedom isn't fear. Freedom is safety. It's dignity. It's opportunity. Let freedom be our North Star, because they've got it real messed up where they think freedom is in their heads. Freedom, we're going to take freedom back, and that is our North Star. Stick to sound bites, not essays, unless you don't. I'm going to tell you when you don't. Stick to sound bites, not essays. One of the things that the left does really well is they don't have the, well, I don't want to be nasty, but I will be and say, because we're all having some wine. I don't know if they have the cognitive discipline to listen to long, nuanced arguments. For example, immigration is not something that says, I'll get them deported on day 1. It's not that easy, although it's seeming to be. It's not that easy, but the immigration topic is very nuanced, and you have to have the cognitive ability to listen to that. And unfortunately, I don't know that we're working with that, so let's stick to really quick sound bites. Things that people can regurgitate. You want to speak to what voters feel every day. Again, this goes back to the kitchen table topics, and the cost of living is crushing, the 401ks are shrinking, uncertainty is growing, healthcare is unaffordable, those type of things. Again, when we're reframing our extremism, don't repeat it, which is, again, the election was rigged, well over 60 cases found that it wasn't. So ensure that you are reframing it. And remember when I said stick to sound bites unless you don't? This is when you don't. Okay? So I have found the speech here from Pete Buttigieg. He went on the Flagrant podcast and he told the story of the American Dream. Does anybody remember that? Yeah. Well, it was brilliant. And I don't think that we do that enough. And it was, again, this is a pretty popular Republican podcast. And he went on and it really resonated with that group of people. And so I think if you do find yourself talking with someone and they say, and you find that they're a reasonable person like you and I think that where we can come to meet in the middle is talking about the American Dream. Now I guarantee you go online and you try to find this speech, it's going to be difficult. So guess what? I got it right here for you. Because I don't want you to have to do the work. We try to make everything easy here at freedomisn'tfear.com. So this is his American Dream, but I'll just give you a quick example of mine. You want to wake up in the morning, you want to be breathing clean air. You want to be sure that you woke up safe in your bed because we live in a safe community. I want to be able to go to work in a car that is reliable or public transportation that is reliable. I want to be, if I have children, which I don't, but if I do, and I want that choice, by the way. And if I don't have children, or rather, if I do have children, I want to be able to work and focus on work and not worry about them being at school and what's going to happen to them. Are they coming home, right? When I get home, I'm going to want to afford a very nutritious meal to put on the table for them, if I so choose. And then when I take a sip of water, I want that water to be clean water because our Clean Air Act and Water Act has not been good. And I hope that they came home from a public educated school, if that's what I choose, right? And then when I go to bed at night again, I want to lay my head on that pillow and I want to know I'm safe because I'm in a safe community. So I think that you could take that even further, and I do believe that the American dream is something we can all believe in no matter which side of the aisle that you're on. So I think you can take that further, depending on who you're talking to. You may say that you hope that you don't have to take care of your parents because we hope Social Security wasn't gutted, right? So you can take this as far as you want to take it, depending on your scenario, but that resonates, right? Could anybody in this room argue that? So let's try to focus on our American dream. Now, we're getting into the toolkit. I know we've been talking about this for at least 20 minutes now, or so. So here's the toolkit. And here's how it works. You know, I told you kitchen table topics. All of these are dynamic, clickable, little clickable areas. So if we want to talk about kitchen table topics, then we should be leading with that, right? So, for example, Democrats want open borders. Freedom means safe communities and fair rules. We want secure borders and a system that treats people with dignity, compassion over cruelty. So we are not repeating their lies, we are leading with freedom. Below that, you may see a quick fact. I hope you guys can see that. If not, again, I know you're going to take this home and you're going to study this document or this website. And I'll zoom in a bit here. So border policy already uses enforcement and screening if you need a quick fact. The goal is smart, orderly, and humane, not chaotic. ICE is just enforcing the law. Freedom in America means dignity and safety, not fear in our courthouses, workplaces, or neighborhoods. Nobody should be hunted for living their lives. Quick fact is that, rates hitting long-term residents and families really just scares the public. They don't want to come forward. They don't want to serve as witnesses, and crime can run amok in the area because they're too scared to speak out. So a lot of that, this is about ICE. We can continue to move down. I got a lot of ICE in here. I don't know if you know that's been on my mind lately. Let's see here. Oh, let's just skip up here and go to, if I'm making anybody dizzy, let's go to the economy. So Democrats ruined the economy. Freedom is a fair shot. Good jobs, lower costs, small businesses that thrive. We fight for kitchen table wins, not culture, war, noise. A short fact on that is over 13 million jobs have been added since 2021, including clean energy, manufacturing, and tech. Now, I know what you're thinking. Taylor, cool and all, but if I'm in a heated argument with my brother-in-law, what am I just going to pull up this document, read it? No. There's a million ways to use this, and you might, if you're slow thinkers. But if not, then no. But what you can do is if you know you're going to go be talking, you're going to go to Thanksgiving with your brother-in-law and he's going to be real pissed off about the economy or he's going to be mad about immigration, you may study these topics up. You may study some of these quick facts and you may study some of these sound bites. You may even copy and paste using this copy button and make you a little cheat sheet if you want. Maybe you're on social media and you find the need to clap back, as we sometimes do, even though I do try to stay out of blind rage. And so, boom, you got your fact, right? And so maybe you are at a rally, and I got some rally language in here for you too, and you need some sign language. So there's a lot of ways to use this. It doesn't have to be that you're in the middle of an argument, you just have to pull up this website, okay? So, some other things here we'll talk about. Let's get into a culture and right-based issue. I don't want to hit you too hard with the first one. That one's rough. But that is a line that you typically hear. So let's go with women use abortion as birth control. Government control of pregnancy is deadly. Freedom is trusting women and families. Now what you're going to see below this one is a series of bullet points. This is what we like to call flip the script. It's not on every single one, but it's on a lot of them. If you hit flip the script, you're going to see a lot of these. And remember when I told you a minute ago that sometimes you may need to just ask them a question. Some of these are rhetorical. I really don't want you to answer back, but I do want to make you think. And so, for example, if people have nothing to hide, ICE visits shouldn't bother them. If we're called to love our neighbor, why are we turning our backs on those seeking refuge? And maybe you'll get a conversation started. Maybe you have an opportunity to speak about the American dream, because I don't care who you are, the American dream is not alive and well, and it's certainly not alive and well for immigrants into this country. So if you find yourself needing some questions, those are here as well. So all that to say, you got kitchen table topics, cultural issues, flip the script, and then you can come down here and search these tabs as well. Now what if I just want to search for ice? Because I want to know about, I want some stuff about ice. You're going to notice here where like some things start coming up and it's like, doesn't have anything to do with ice. Well, that's because this works like a control F, and if there's the word price in there, it has the word ice in the middle. So don't be messaging me being like, Taylor, this thing's broken, because it just works like a control F, man. And listen, building a website's not as easy as I make it look. So now we've got rally language. So rally language, again, if you are going to a protest, if you're writing postcards, we've got postcards right here. If you need a chant, which I love a good chant. You need a chant at a protest, here you go. So we've got rally language for you here. And then lastly, what I want to show you is, remember how I told you that this is a living, breathing document? And remember I told you it wasn't done yesterday, it ain't done today, it ain't going to be done tomorrow? Well, that's really true, because here's a source doc, and I don't want to embarrass myself with how ugly this is going to show up, but I am going to show it to you. This started out with, it wasn't, again, it's making a website's not as easy as I make it look. And so this started out as a Google Doc. And this Google Doc, I did say so myself was organized pretty well. And so this Google Doc's got all the information you've ever wanted to know in your whole life about freedom isn't fear in it. And we are, now one man show is what we are. We are slowly getting all of this information into the website in a really digestible format, like I've been showing you on these cards here, right? But they're not all there. A lot of them are there, but they're not all there. So I would click this open in a new tab. And I would, if I were you, and you were like, you know what, I need some more. I'm just dying for some more something. You can scroll through this. Everything is there. This is even more robust. And again, you've got a lot more, it's organized in a little bit of a different way. And so there's a lot of information on this source doc. And if you want the Google Doc, I'm happy to send you that too. Just send, there's a contact form on here. Just send me a contact and I will send you the Google Doc so that you can have that as well. Because I'm not keeping any of this information. I want you guys to go out, prosper, and use it all. So with that, I will turn it back over to you all for questions.
So my question, so first of all, you've been doing this for a while, which a lot of people in this room have been.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been doing it for quite a while, but some people in this room are probably more than this, and some others have been doing it way longer than me. And messaging for Democrats has always been an issue, as far back as I can trace. So how do we get this information into the right hands, besides just the feds, besides the DCDP, maybe the TDP, maybe the DNC? How do we get on the same fucking page?
Amen, sister. And I would love to know that too. So every single person in here has a duty to do that, right? If you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, I got a contact form right here. You know, everybody knows Jill get in touch with me anytime, any day, any time of the day. So yes, I'm happy to deliver this message, happy to deliver this toolkit. Again, freedomisn'tfear.com is not a private website. I even got freedomisn'tfear.org if you want. And so this is out there for the public, and I'm happy to give this spiel. I'm happy to, in another life, train the trainers on this, and people can train on this website. So it really is about the community, and if you're interested in that. The other point of this is if you are, remember how I told you, like, there's a lot of ways to use this? How many of you are precinct chairs in here? Well, there's a lot of you. Now, if you're in your precinct and you're like, you know what my precinct cares about? Public education. Study up public education when you're going on Congress, right? There's a lot of ways to do it. And that was a tailing off that question. But everybody, I think we all have a duty in here as Democrats to spread the message. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say a link will be in the next Fed's website.
Newsletter.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I found it very helpful as a candidate, and even if we can get this before a lot of candidates so they can hone their messaging in,
Yes.
I think you did a beautiful job, and I think we need some start also with the candidates. I think it would be real helpful for everybody.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to do that. And you make a good point. We really, I mean, this is not just for us. It's for everybody. We all need to be on the same page, the same message. The other thing I will say about that, though, is, guys, we got to get back on offense, and we've got to stop asking for permission. Did Jill tell you at the very beginning what she say? I said, I'm tired of asking for permission. So some people in leadership may tell you, well, this has to be message tested. We can't get out there. No, I'm going north and prosper because we don't have time for that. The 2026 midterms are coming, and we don't have time for that. This is a grassroots effort, and we ain't got time for that. So I'm happy to get in front of anybody you want to get me in front of. I'm happy to speak to that. And just know that I don't really care about the pushback on who kind of get message testing, but you may run into that. Yes.
My next, just to follow up on that. So, as I'm sure you're aware, there are a couple of dozen. So I disagree about the candidate thing because they got their own agenda. But I do think that all of the other clubs in the city, like Preston Hall Dims and Stonewall Dims and Hot Rock Lake Dims and all, I mean, I could go on. If you, maybe not you, maybe me, you contact every one of those groups, they're always looking for someone to come to their regular monthly meetings and do something, because that's the grassroots movement.
Yep.
Those are the people who are going to get the message out. You're not going to, if you can't get into cooperation with the TDP or the DCD because they want a message test which costs $100,000, then we need to go before all of those various clubs that won't say we need to do a message testing. They'll at least hear the information, and maybe we can get a groundswell.
Amen, sister. Let's do it. Again, I hope everybody will read this message to Democrats, because I think that it will hit home on that. Like, we need to stop being a competitive party, competitive within ourselves. We got to stop fighting forward and stop fighting against ourselves. So every club, I agree, needs to hear this message, and we all need to come together. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think we are so lucky at the feds because our current leader of the Texas Democrats comes from the feds, Kendall. So we could get this message to Kendall Scudder.
It is with Kendall Scudder.
Also said it will cost $100,000 to message test this.
Which is
So he has said we got a message test.
So if not, you're going to 50,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love him to death. He's great.
So they've been tested.
Well, you know what, Virginia? We're going to have to opine on that over a glass of wine.
We met with
You know, maybe you could go speak with him. I think it's a lot that has to do with, if the message doesn't resonate, then we wasted a lot of effort and time on putting this out in the public, and it's not resonating with the public. But what I will tell you back to that is the public will tell you if that didn't resonate or not.
And let's
Do
be
you
clear, the other
think
messaging hasn't been resonating all this time.
correct? Thank you. Hello. So on the next part of that is to say that like him or love him or don't him, it doesn't matter to me. Do you think Gavin Newsom's out there message testing those tweets he's putting out? And where did Gavin Newsom live? He's the governor of California. I'm just little Taylor Jones from East Texas. So I mean, I think
Donald
he's
Trump
doing
is
it.
message testing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we gotta get a little scrappy.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I have to say I'm a little frustrated with milquetoast responses to fascism. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Punch a Fascist is just as legitimate a message. I mean, my grandfather was in the Pacific Theater in World War II. I think we can all agree that fascism cannot be tolerated at all.
Correct.
And I think that the concern that we're going to sound belligerent or intolerant, I think there are so many people waiting for that. I think that's why Governor Newsom's message is resonating, because there's a whole bunch of us that have been dealing for 10 years now and more with the nonsense. And I think at some point we want to see somebody fighting back.
I do. I love it. I want to see them go low and us pick up a shovel.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Kendall's brain. I mean, I'm assuming that he's educated enough to understand that. Kendall, he said that we've got to get a message testing across the state. Freedom isn't here. The thing about that messaging, the want to get that message testing, that's fine. This is a giant document. And again, not everything don't work for everybody. Remember when I said that? Yeah. And yeah, I told you I was from East Texas. And so that we can't, it's not going to resonate with everybody, every word on this document. So I just don't think that message testing is going to but again, the public will tell you if it works. Yes, ma'am.
Go back to using the tool you created.
Thank you.
My problem is that I hear these sound bites from people, and I immediately go into a rage. And I'm not great at remembering these things.
Yeah, I know.
How do you keep your amygdala from getting hyped?
Yeah, it is tough, isn't it? Because a lot of the things that are being said are so just outlandish nuts that you want to repeat it back to them because you're like, did I hear that right? And so that's difficult. But here's what I will say. Well, one, I'm just a hack like anybody, so I can't tell you everything. But what I will say here, oh shoot, it's not showing. Well,
Just say it.
well, you know what? I can fix that. I mean, I say I can fix that. I fixed it once. I would say talk amongst yourselves, but I don't want to pitch back. So what I will tell you is that while I'm working on this, and I'll just pull this back up for me, if you go to the toolkit, under how it works, it says, hear the soundbite, breathe. Period. Don't repeat it back. Period. Lead with your frame. You want to start with dignity, safety, opportunity, freedom, of course. And then add one quick fact if you can come up with it. So there is no hard and fast rule on how do we remember these sound bites. I do think that you should study them if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, I just can't remember that. But at the end of the day, breathe. Don't repeat it back. And just reframe it with freedom. And just kind of put it on its ear, right? Like abortion is murder. Well, do you really care about rights when mothers can die? Do you really care about murder when mothers can die? So it's a lot about just the art of the argument. And then there's a really great book out there called by George Lakoff called Don't Think of an Elephant. And that's a really good book on talking about framing and how to frame your message. So I can recommend that. But again, you know, like I said, I'm just a hack like anybody. What else? Yes, ma'am.
You know, I like living in my bubble.
Yeah?
I like to be around these people.
Same.
We like to be around you too. I don't want to have conversations because I lose it or walk away. Where are you meeting people that you can have those conversations with?
Well, one I will tell you is that I think that we're going to have to get real comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't like talking on either. But remember when we talked about that sliding door moment?
That's awesome.
What if you did have one of these conversations with somebody and you changed their mind?
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't that be something?
That would be
Yes,
amazing.
children,
That would be
Mike.
amazing.
As a precinct chair, I think the people that you'll be talking to is those who did not vote in 24. That might have a higher, score, like 60 to 100 or whatever. Talk to those people and leave with the valid, why didn't you vote? What was it that held you back? And then start going over these kitchen table issues, saying, had you voted, we might not be in the situation, but definitely say that. Shame me like I'm like.
And I also think, because I'm a retired educator, public school educator, I usually will lead with my number one issue is good public ed for my grandchildren.
Right.
And so then sometimes people, how many grandchildren do you know? And so
You're finding a common ground.
but it started something I know about, so that, that's what I
say public education is kitchen table topic, so it's step one, check.
I'll say this only because, you know, like a lot of people, I'll post on social media, whatever. And I've had lots of friends over the years that told me, they're like, why don't you block that person? Why don't you something like, I don't. I have purposely not blocked all the people. And because when they say something to me, I do like to hit them back with some facts and try to be, yes, don't say I don't get upset or anything. But I've had so many people in the background private message me and say, you know what? I really appreciate what you're doing. I really appreciate what you're saying. And they won't speak out then, but they have gotten a little bit more courageous. So if you can just get someone, you know, and that's why I don't shut those people down. I'm like, let me go at them.
And what I typically do, like my radar is, if you cannot criticize your president, you have no criticism for them, we need to move along. Like, we're not going to those people, right? If you're not in a cult, and you can criticize your leader because they do work for you, by the way, then, and if I can get someone to say one negative thing, my dad, for example, his big deal was immigration, and that hit East Texas very hard. Like, all the criminals in the country, blah, the whole thing. And, but he can really criticize Donald Trump. Well, of course, not for fact, but he can really criticize him. And that's how I know I can get to him, right? Because we find that common ground, and then you just jam. Yes, ma'am.
I do think that on social media, there is some value in engaging in putting someone in their place to some extent, because it's not for the person who you're putting in their place.
Right,
It's for everyone else that comes along and proves it. So like for me, a personal boundary is trying to argue away someone else's rights that you're not going to suffer from. And when somebody goes that far to say, well, I don't believe these people should have these rights, that's when I'm like, I'm going to try to speak to you in a reasonable way for a while, but if you show me that you're just not reasonable about other people's rights, I'm going to put you in your place so that everyone else can read it and understand why what you're saying is so dangerous and abusive and toxic and vile. Like, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think being nice is the first step, and I think being reasonable and approaching people that way is the first step. But once somebody shows you that they're not capable of that, I think it's time then to move on to, okay, here's why the audience needs to see that this person is not a valid arguer, they're not being reasonable, pull their argument apart logically or however, you talk about the poor morals that they have, and so on. I'm sorry, but if your morals suggest that women need to die to uphold your morals, you're not a very moral person.
Correct.
I don't have a problem saying that on social media so that everybody else can see it. But
Well, I definitely agree with that. That's everything ain't for everybody. So if you're comfortable doing that, I say go for it. I've never understood a group of people who would vote to have less rights, even if it doesn't matter to them. Just anybody's just voting to have less rights. Everybody seems really insane to me. But I think one of the openers of a conversation can be, hey, is there anything you think Donald Trump isn't doing well? Is there anything you think Ted Cruz isn't doing well? And man, if you can get something, boy, you see some daylight. Okay? You got a question about Ted Cruz, hell yes?
So, wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Have you thought about videotaping it? And so, as a force multiplier for the multiple clubs and things like that, because that's sort of.
We're doing it right now.
We're gonna let that go. I haven't, but if you know somebody that can make you look good on camera, I'm happy to have you entertain it.
Very
Very
Walked out with the call.
well, so we can get it on Facebook, we can get it on Blue Sky, if we have that video.
Sure, and I'll be a little bit nicer to, next time, just because I got a job to keep, guys.
No, don't.
I know, it will be tough. It will be tough. Yes, ma'am. Hi, fellow Solidarity spectator. Yes,
Okay, sorry. Yes, I have a question. A lot of what you're talking about is responsive to the first statement made by the other side. What are your thoughts about being the one who initiates the conversation with a positive message and having them be the one who's responsible to you?
They're on the back foot.
Or is this sort of like jujitsu where you use their strength against them? Whatever your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea. I think that's great. I think a lot of us get that opportunity because if we do post something online or if we do post something, we're going to inevitably get that attack. A lot of times we are putting something out first and we get that attack, and so this is the fight back. But I mean, I like the idea of, you know, again, we're going to have to get comfortable getting uncomfortable. So going out and talking to people, right? Like, there's a lot of people door knock in here or make phone bank or whatever it is. And so, you know, I think that there's a lot of value in having those kind of those spark points, and maybe I'll take that away.
I think we need to also be uncomfortable with going into different spaces, right? We stay in our own little bubble, and we're okay with, like you said, being around our own friends and things like that. But I mean, every now and then I will scroll. And, you know, see some things I don't like, and I feel like, you know, I have to, like, say something. But if it gets a conversation going, I don't know. I just think you have to, like, not be afraid. I mean, honestly, I know it's keyboard warriors, but there's so many people that just sit back and aren't involved. And if you can just get them thinking, you know?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's just like the Pete, when he was on the podcast, as a candidate, he got his messaging through to people. He was able to impact other people as a candidate using this same formula that you just presented to us today. So whether it reached 10,000 people or if it reached 10 people, that impact was crucial.
You're so right. And
So
he and James Tallarico are the only two out there doing it that I know.
So good. And so that was foreign
Yep.
to the Democratic Party. So that's why I'm saying, I think it would be important for candidates to reach people like that, because we reach hundreds, we reach thousands of people every day that we talk to.
I would love that. I mean, I think that there's nothing better than infiltrating the spaces in which they lurk and they're not hearing other messages from other outside perspectives. Yes, sir.
So on the slightly longer term side of things, I kind of thought that we should overhaul and streamline the platform. It's currently like 140 something pages, and it's everybody's like little pet peccadillos project from wherever they're at. I think that the platform should be something that's a tool that we use to get folks reelected, and they can point back to and go, whatever else we differ on, that's what we all agree on.
When you're saying platform, I'm hoping you're not talking about this because then I didn't get it.
No.
Okay. Oh, so okay. Statewide.
The party, the Democratic Party.
So you're saying, so you're talking about candidates stuff? I don't understand that.
So it's not even being utilized as a tool to get folks reelected right now. It's just kind of like an echo chamber and a place for everyone to bitch it. That's where it goes in writing, and then it gives the other side a chance to stick it apart and go, look how nuts everybody is. Instead of using it like that so that we divide ourselves, why not just put in 50 pages of like, this is the stuff we, like 95% of us agree on. This is what it is.
Yeah, and I have to, and Bill and I kind of went back and forth on this, like, do we want to get this like Republican hands? You know, do we want to put this behind, not a paywall, but you have to request to get the document? And I'm like, you know what? One, I don't care. If you get a touch of this, you might learn something. I don't know, you might mess around and learn something. So, but I think that's a great idea, because if somebody stumbles upon this document that isn't, you know, whatever quote they left, I do hope that they will learn something from it. Yes, ma'am.
You know, I think it's a great presentation, and I think that is extremely useful. But it seems to me also, in addition to being able to say good things, we need to really reach a shitload of people. I mean, a lot. And I was really energized by Zoran Mandani's and so I read up about it. And apparently, these people talk to about a quarter of the fucking voters. You know, if we talk to a quarter of the voters, we would win. I mean, it's incredible.
I agree. And well, as Judy so eloquently put it, we need to reach a shit ton of people, and we need to talk to a quarter of the fucking voters. And that was a quote. That was a direct quote from Judy. So I agree. And how do we do that, Judy? So that's for the minds in this room, and I don't know that, you know, maybe we don't answer that today, but we need more precinct chairs. Woo! And we gotta get the message out, yes.
Well,
That's around to
I
you.
called our Democratic caucus and I said, don't you think we should call Montgomery's office and do what they did, just fucking do what they did? No, we're different. We're different. You know, we're Dallas and New York. Are you kidding me? I mean, it was so myopic.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that we need to convince elderly people we can make a real difference here if we are open to new ways of doing things.
I agree, and stop listening to the consultants in Washington, because we are grassroots, and so all of that to say, being grassroots is, it's up to every single person, and so if we're not gonna be supported by the top on how we get this, then we need to be doing what? Talking to a whole lot of other people, right? As Judy put it, okay? So that's up to everybody. We gotta do it, and again, we need more precinct chairs, we need to be getting in touch with more people. Hold on, just one second, yes. Yes, you.
Yes, 2 points. First one kind of follows up on what you just said. We got to talk to a whole bunch of people.
Yes.
Is there anybody in this room that's familiar with Texas Blue Action?
Yeah.
Has ever been involved in it?
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'm a block captain, and I'm also a precinct chair, but you don't have to be a precinct chair. I just went to one of their last meetings. They will give you, if you'll sign up for Texas Blue Action, they will give you in your precinct 50 names of people who are lean Democrat, but low propensity voters. Those are the ones who we know that they are leaning our way. They may not, but we want to have personal contact. It requires a personal visit, and then from then on, it's text. And when you're on their text, it's not coming from a stranger, it's coming from someone they know. We all get 100 texts a day from somebody that we don't know. We don't have any idea what they're doing. We just discard it. The Texas Blue Action is trying to get each one of us to take 50 names. They'll give you the name in your precinct or within a 6 to 12 block radius of your house, wherever you live. They'll give you that name. You get a block captain. You don't have to get a precinct chair. The second point I want to make, that kind of covers what she said. I want to give some love to Kendall Scudder. I want to say, if there's anybody in this room that thinks that there is anyone here who wants to achieve our goals, that we want to achieve more than Kendall, let me know who it is.
Kendall's great.
Kendall is great. It is one hell of a job to get elected Texas Democratic chair.
Yeah, not since 1980.
You don't do that easy. And he's facing a lot of difficulties right now because everybody's coming at him from every other direction. From 360 degrees, he's being hit. He knows now what's on the inside. I don't think he's told us, don't do what you're suggesting. But you can do that on your own. But he can't tie the party into something that just somebody contacts and says, this is what you need to do.
No, that's exactly right. And you stated it much better than I did.
And I think that we owe him a lot, and to not say, well, he shouldn't be doing this or he shouldn't be doing that, because I contacted him about working in rural communities. I've got connections in Childress County, which is a small county in the Panhandle of Texas. Their last presidential vote was 88% Trump, 12% Congress. And I said, I want to help in that area, so I contacted the precinct chair up there. I've got properties in there, so I had called the school superintendent and the hospital district. And those are the 2 largest employers in Childress County. If we could just get a hold of the principals, the superintendent, the doctors in the hospital, the nurses, the staff, there are plenty of people in that county that will vote Democrat. They just don't know how, because there's never been a Democratic candidate on the local ballot.
And there's nobody better to do it than Kendall. And about the Texas Blue Action Network, I don't know if you guys want to put it in a nice email, so we can all get that going. Great idea. You had a question.
Yes.
Next question.
I'm actually a candidate myself, and so I've been door knocking since April. I've been talking to people in the store, when I'm going to the grocery store, I'm talking to people just that random. Sometimes they are, I put Republicans in 3 categories. There's the conservative traditional Republican, there's the MAGA Trump supporter, and then there's the conservative that can be swayed. It's kind of on a scale for me. The MAGA Republicans their minds are warped. They're gone.
But I think you nailed it when you said their mind is just work. I think when you know that, it's time to bail. So I think you answered your own question for sure. And I have been cut off, so I am passing the mic. Thank you, lovely people. I really appreciate
it. We have several candidates, and if y'all would come right over here and line up, and then you've got like,
Get out of the way. Or sit
maybe
down.
a minute and a half.
Or sit down.
Yeah, that's it. You want to come? Sure.
Hey Taylor, that was amazing. So I'm the second Taylor you're going to hear from tonight. My name is Holly Taylor, and I've talked to y'all before, and I'm going to tell y'all how much I love you. I do. You know why? I drove from Austin just to be here with y'all tonight. I have to be at work in Austin tomorrow, so we literally drove here just to be with you. And that's how amazing I think y'all are as a club. And just this little exchange and question and answer that I just heard just really reinforced that. Y'all are out there doing the meaningful hard work, and I want to thank you for that. Give yourselves a hand. So, I am running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. And if you're like, this sounds a little bit familiar, I stood right here and talked to y'all last year when I was running for the Court of Criminal Appeals for a different seat, place 1 on that court. And so I was on your ballot in November of 2024, going for a statewide seat with Donald Trump on the ballot. You can probably guess what happened. And so, you know, it knocked me in the dirt for a minute, but I picked myself up and I dusted myself off and said, you know what? 4.5 million Texans supported me. And I need to get my ass back in here and get back out there and keep fighting. So that's what I'm doing. And this, thank you. This is a 9-member court, and there are 3 judges on the ballot every 2 years. So in 2024, there were 3 judges on the ballot who were incumbent Republicans on a court that's been all Republican for 30 years. Guess what happened to those 3 incumbent, experienced conservative Republicans in the primary in 2024? Anybody know? They got knocked out. That's right. They got knocked out due to the very vigorous efforts of a certain state-level official who's currently involved in a biblical divorce. Oh! You know who I am talking about. So the reason that this particular person is unhappy with this court is because these judges decided a decision interpreting our Texas Constitution in 2021 in which they decided that that particular official did not have the authority to target people and prosecute them across the state for voter fraud. They decided that was against our Texas Constitution. It was a violation of separation of powers because the Attorney General in Texas is in the executive branch and prosecutors who are elected by their local counties are in the judicial branch. And he did not like that at all. Went on the warpath, Tucker Carlson, you know, all of the things, and got some friends who put together a PAC and donated tons of money to knock out those candidates. And then in the general, me and the 3 Dallas County district judges that ran for those seats. Why? He has a reason for doing this. And it has to do with his ability to target these folks. And this has not stopped, right? There are 3 more seats on the ballot in 2026, and that is why we cannot stop. This is part of their plan, and so I think it's really, really important that the courts are important to them. They need to be important to us, too. And in fact, he's also made similar statements about the now statewide 15th Court of Appeals. He is definitely focusing on these judicial races. The Republican Party, the far right wing of it, is focusing on these judicial races. And so I just want to get the word out about how we need to be focusing on these judicial races. And so, thank you very much. I told you about me last time. If you want to check out my social media, it's at colleague T for judge, and I have 2 asks for you today. Number 1 is help me get the message out, pretty please. You have these wonderful newsletters. You guys, I'm sure almost all of you, if not all of you, have an online presence. Please, please help me get the message out about my campaign and the courts in general, how important they are in these serious issues, these serious threats to the judicial independence and fairness of our courts, and to our rights and freedoms. But also, my kid is here today, Colin, with the ponytail back there. And we brought some petitions to get me on the ballot in March. So if you feel so inclined, I would really appreciate a signature to help me get on the ballot. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Yeah, all the petitions that you see, sign away.
Good evening, everyone. I am Judge Stephanie Mitchell-Huff. I am the presiding judge of the 291st Judicial District Court. This is my 10th year on the bench. I love coming here and visiting the feds because, one, I love being in my neighborhood here in Lakewood, but also I love the fact that you are fired up and truly care about the state of democracy in this county and in this country. And so I'm grateful to be here. I'm here with petitions. You might have known me as Mitchell before, but I since got married to this lovely man here. I started on this petition. Stephanie Mitchell-Huff, 291st, seeking my 4th term. I do not have a home.
Hi everyone, my name is Antoinette Harris. I am an attorney in the DFW area, and I'm running to serve as your next Justice of the Peace for Precinct 2, Place 2. I am running against someone. I will let you all do your research on who it may be. But it is not Margaret O'Brien. I'm not running against Margaret O'Brien. She is actually carrying the precinct right now as far as the 2 JP courts go. The bulk of the cases in this precinct get filed in her court and resolved in her court. I am the only attorney in my race. I think given the state of affairs, the current state of affairs, having an attorney on the bench would be beneficial for our community. I am running against someone who is not an attorney. Not saying that I'm any better for having a law degree and a law license. Say it. But I do think it makes me qualified to be a judge and make legal decisions about people's legal rights. So I'll just say it. Thank you for that. Yes, I also want to target our youth in a positive way. I'm really passionate about the youth. I was an at-risk youth. So to go from being a possible defendant to now being a criminal defense attorney has been the honor of my life. I serve the people of Dallas County in that capacity, and I fully intend to do so once I take this bench. I really appreciate y'all hearing from me. Precinct 2, if you don't know, consists of 8 cities. That's East Dallas, Balch Springs, Mesquite, Garland, Saxe, Sunnyvale, Wiley, and Raleigh. If you live in any of those 8 cities and you don't mind taking the time to sign my petition after this, I'd love to speak with you about my plan for the precinct, and I'd love to get your support. Thank you.
Well, hi friends, I'm Elizabeth Ginsburg, and I'm running for the 191st District Court. Award last year. It made my year. After a tough election for the State House, it made my year. I took a long, hard look at things to see where I could best contribute, and I am confident that I can best contribute by running for the 191st District. I'm running for this court because it is a court in crisis at this point. It is the most backlogged court in Dallas County. I was approached by a group of attorneys who asked me to run for this bench because they know that I am one of the few candidates who can win, who can get an incumbent whose time is over. It's time for her to go. And so I'm asking for your vote. I'm also asking for your signature on my petition. If you've not signed it, as this group fondly named him, Mr. Liz is back here with petitions. Our courts matter. They're under attack. And as Democrats, we have a responsibility to make sure we are putting out strong candidates so we can demonstrate to Texans what good governance looks like. Thank you very much.
How y'all doing this evening? How y'all doing this evening? So my name is Zachariah Manning. I'm running for Justice of the Peace. Some of you may know me from some past elections that I ran in. We have a great U.S. Congressperson here in our district, Julie Johnson, and we had 10 crowded people in that race, and I was one of the individuals in that race. I came in 4th or 5th place in that race. It was people with multi-millions of dollars ahead of me. I only had $6,000, under $6,000. 4th or 5th place. This is going to be the best seat suited for me to run for Justice of the Peace. I hope y'all check me out. My name is ZachariahManning.com. I hope to earn your vote. Thank you so much.
Hey y'all, how's it going? If y'all haven't met me yet, I'm Adam Schwartz. I'm your Justice of the Peace in Dallas. Before that, I was an attorney for 10 years. Before that, I was on the platform committee a few different times. I served as a precinct chair. This has been my world. This has never been my goal. I just kind of ended up here, and I can't begin to tell you how thankful I am that I did.
We are too.
So far, it's been the honor of my life to be able to serve in the precinct that I grew up. We were one of the busiest courts. I like to think that we kind of dragged it into the 21st century. There was a whole lot that we flipped when we flipped this court for the first time into Democratic hands for 28 years. The reality of the situation is I've dealt with 60,000 cases so far. I've married 2,700 couples. I got a little bit of press for doing it with a bubble gun, but really it's the heart that you put into it that makes the difference, and that goes for all of the cases. The reason why I want you to spread the word about me, and if I'm lucky, get a couple of dollars of donations from you, is because when folks come into this court now, they have dignity and they retain it straight through. Nobody gets prejudged when they come into my court, and I tell everybody up front, the thing that you need to know about me is that I don't think that there's shame in getting into a situation in the first place because I've done it. It is no shame to come from a background where there is 700 square feet, 4 people, and a dog, and 3 smokers. I didn't have a door until I was 12 when everyone was like, he needs a door now. I think the world of this group. This group has made such a difference in Dallas County, and also for me. I would love to have your support again. I adore the job that I have, and it would be another blessing to be able to serve y'all again as your Justice of the Peace in Precinct 3. Thank you.
Support that you come and you share, because we all have the same goal, and also your financial support. Yeah. And I think that's it. Our next one's going to be October 7th. Oh, when we have a call to action.
Yeah. Hi. So, call to action that got brought up a lot here tonight, precinct chairs. Anyone, do you know who's your precinct chair? We need them all over. And those are all done by the county. And for me, I don't always love the Democratic messaging, or I don't love this, or I don't. So why wouldn't I show up then? If I don't like it, why wouldn't I get involved? Why wouldn't I show up? Why wouldn't I be at that table? Because enough voices is how we do all of this. There is no shadowy DNC, by the way. We are the DNC. We all can show up, and actually you can all go to your own convention. But we would love for you to be a precinct chair. If not, we'd like you to help your precinct chair, or you can even adopt a precinct chair. So DCDP on that. And then once you're a precinct chair, you can use this messaging, knocking door to door. It really makes a huge difference. I know everyone in my little precinct, and it's fun. And at minimum, you go to 4 meetings a year. At maximum, you are emailing them, you're having parties, you're doing everything. That's a big thing. Also, once you do that, becoming a BDR. If you are not a BDR, that is a great thing to do.
Tell us what that is.
Texas is the only state in the nation that has volunteer deputy registrars. And you can be registered in tons of counties, but you can start out with just here in Dallas County. And there are also, we had one in our newsletter last time, but you can all march the polls. It's a great thing. Yes. So
And what does a BDR do?
they register people to vote.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and you can register, it's great if you're a precinct chair, you can register new people that move in. A lot of people that move from out of state don't know our rules here.
There's a virtual VDR training on the 6th.
Yes,
And I
it's in
think
our
it's in the
newsletter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so you don't have to go away from your couch.
You can do it virtually as well. And you can precinct chair virtually.
You can virtually video. I just want to make a point here, and you know, I'm a loud mouth, I'm good with that. I want to make a point of pointing out that in the past 10 years that I've been paying extra close attention, the number of precinct chairs and precincts that don't have precinct chairs has not changed by maybe 5 or 6, which means that more than half of the precincts in Dallas County do not have precinct chairs. So if you are in a precinct and you don't know who your precinct chair is, shame on you, sorry. And if you don't have a precinct chair and you have any interest or capability of becoming one, I highly encourage you to do so, or encourage someone else that might be better at it than you. But the fact that we have not changed that margin in the past 10 years is really sad. Sorry, just
Absolutely,
saying.
yes, absolutely. And I had never had a precinct chair ever, so how much worse could I do?
You need to send that information with a map. Here they are, here are the precincts, here's where the chairs are, here there's no chairs. Because I got that message and I'm trying to figure out, I just moved to.
Go to DallasDemocrats.org, then go to party, drop down.
Send that link out.
Well, just put it in the newsletter, please. But just Dallas Democrats, there's a lot of information on that. And it lists all of it. Go to precinct chairs.
30 years ago in a different county.
Right. Well, there's a list of all of them, and you'll see, and a lot of them are in South Dallas County. You know, Cedarville, Tuckanville, all that.